Mets and Nats getting set to play baseball after a rain delay of a little over an hour. Bartolo Colon has finished his warm-up pitches, as has Gio Gonzalez, and they'll be set to square off in the second series of the year between the Mets and the Nationals. With Ron, I'm Gary, and well, we've watched an hour of rain.
Yes, we have. You know, it reminded me, honestly, in the day, the Mets used to always have Friday night games when I played that were at 8:05, so no difference here, just 5 minutes difference. And I'm just happy that they're playing.
Well, the Nats took 2 out of 3 from the Mets last week at Citi Field. This is what some of the numbers look like. Mets scored just 4 runs in the 3 games against Nationals pitching staff that was very stingy. They got a win from Noah Syndergaard, but then Steven Strasburg and Gio Gonzalez got victories in the final 2 games of the series, and the Mets will see both those guys tonight and tomorrow in the first 2 games of this go-round. And so the Mets offense, which perked up a little bit over the weekend against Milwaukee, still has been a little bit down overall the last 3 weeks, and they're going to have to be better in this series against the Nationals, who have the second best pitching numbers in the league.
Especially against left-handed pitching, too. They're going to have to be a little better. What I took from that series at Citi Field was, one, that the Nationals, after getting beat soundly by Syndergaard, he was awesome that night, came back and won 2 games. That shows you their resiliency. And second, the Mets pitching really got a lot of their hitters going. Zimmerman's hit better. Rendon, since that May 17th first game on Tuesday, is now 10 for 20. Okay. So a lot of the National hitters are starting to pick it up again.
Yeah, Jason Worth has begun to hit as well. And the Mets, meanwhile, their last time through the rotation, while Matz and Syndergaard have pitched well, the other 3 guys have not. And you would count on this Mets pitching staff to give them solid starts every day. Otherwise, it puts too much pressure on the bullpen. And, you know, Jeurys Familia's worked the last 3 days, may or may not be available for a 4th straight game today. So it certainly would behoove Colon, who had a very unusual outing his last time out, to be more like himself today.
Well, I think the big thing for me with Colon is that, you know, he is here kind of holding that 5th position until Zach Wheeler is ready to go. But while he's holding it, he's got to be the Colon has been here the last couple of years. Pitched more innings, won as many games or more than anyone else in that rotation. And how he does that is by spotting his fastball and keeping it down. His last 3 starts have been anything but.
This will be his final start as a 42-year-old. He turns 43 years of age tomorrow. And Terry Collins will send out this lineup tonight against Gio Gonzalez and the Nationals, brought to you by Geico. Eric Campbell again will man first base, as we talked about earlier. Lucas Duda now out for the long term with a stress fracture in his back. So Campbell for the moment, Wilmer Flores probably over the weekend, and then who knows, maybe Michael Conforto at first base for the longer term. Dusty Baker's team sitting in first place in the National League East. A real culture change here in D.C. with Dusty replacing Matt Williams at the helm of the Nationals, who were so disappointing last year, but right now are 10 games over 500 heading into play tonight.
Well, Gio Gonzalez, who was outstanding at Citi Field, as he always is, has always been good traditionally against the Mets. These are his Toyota numbers so far. I said in the open about an hour ago that it's the quickest start he's got off to since he won 21 games for these Nationals in his first year. Defensively, for the Nationals this evening, Coors Light defense. Jason Worth, who played a lot of right field, we saw him as left fielder now. Ben Revere in center. You can run on his arm or lack of one. Bryce Harper, a gun in right field. Anthony Rendon, third. Espinosa's been strong at short despite a low average hitting. Daniel Murphy's been all world, and Ryan Zimmerman at first base. And Wilson Ramos is doing the catching, which is pretty interesting because 12 straight starts made by Gio Gonzalez have been with Jose Lobaton behind the plate. Tonight they're going to try the more offensive-minded Wilson Ramos.
Well, Gio Gonzalez off to one of the best starts of his career. 1.86 ERA, 3rd in the National League coming into the night. And just watching him last week against the Mets, his demeanor looked different.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm not saying he saw a sports psychologist, but he has really gotten in the moment. And we've seen him in games get in that moment where he really knows what he's doing out there. Sometimes he become very petulant if things are going against him. But we'll see if he can continue it today against the Mets.
Anthony Rendon coming in to talk about candlesticks.
Well,
I mean, that was a pretty in-depth conversation for moments before the first pitch.
The bearded ones.
Well, the rain has stopped, ready to play baseball. About an hour and 7-minute rain delay. First pitch to Curtis Granderson is fouled back, and we're underway in D.C. Curtis has had a devil of a time hitting against Gio Gonzalez, just 4 for 33 in his career. And the Mets, as Ronnie mentioned, have really struggled against left-hand pitching this year. Michael Conforto is out of the lineup today, but Granderson remains in against the lefty. Juan Lagares on deck, and then David Wright for the Mets in the opening inning. And Granderson bounces one foul, a ball and 2 strikes.
Gary, I'm going to let you cover this one. I'm going to watch this one on TV. I have no idea what's going on in the field. I can't see all the way down there. This is you're used to this.
Well, we're 7.5 stories high, even though they call it the 5th floor.
Here's our view.
It's kind of like watching from the blimp, but very similar to the old days at Shea sitting in the upper deck. 1-2 from Gio, and that's drilled to right field, but right at Harper, he comes up and he drops the ball, and Granderson is aboard to start the night. Sliding effort by Harper, looked like he had it fully lined up. He just could not seal the deal.
Well, this was a heck of a read by Harper. As soon as he left the bat, I thought it was a base hit, but he decided to become very aggressive, and it just hit off the end of his glove, almost like he closed the leather a little too early before he caught the baseball. Luckily, it didn't scoot by him on this wet grass, and Granderson held to a single.
He will get credit for a leadoff hit, and now Juan Lagares sitting second in the order. Lagares with very good career numbers against Gonzalez, 11 for 29. That's a 379 clip. We were talking earlier about the Mets' long-term solution at first base with Lucas Duda out and how it might involve Michael Conforto. And really, it's less about Conforto playing first base and more about getting Lagares into the lineup on a more regular basis.
Well, I think what happens for us is that we only get glimpses of him and the way he can play center field. He looks like the center fielder we saw 2 seasons ago, and it seems, we talked about this as a crew, it seems like a waste to have him on the bench just as a pinch hitter and late inning defensive replacement.
This is the Mets' 44th game. It's only the 13th that Lagares has started. Part of that because the Mets have faced a dearth of left-handed starting pitching. This is only the 9th lefty that the Mets have faced as a starter in the first 44 games. David Wright waiting on deck, hitting 3rd in the order. Ramos setting up way inside, and Gonzalez throws it by Lagares, 1-2. Well, lefty starters have dominated the Mets. Now you have to look at who those lefties are. Clayton Kershaw, Madison Bumgarner, Gio Gonzalez last week.
Well, there's a dearth of them, but the ones that come your way are good, so you're going to have to get it going.
Mets facing Gonzalez for the 2nd time in 6 days. He's ahead on Lagares, 1-2, and Juan grounds one foul.
You know, we talked about the mental approach of Gio seems a much more assured on the mound, but the mechanics of Gio pitching in the last game at Citi Field and already here early to Lagares, he pitches in much more than we've ever seen him, and combined with that good curveball down and in, that's been a good weapon for Gio.
Well, the Nats have a new pitching coach in Mike Maddox, and you have to think he's had significant influence on Gio and in all those regards. Sells one high, and it's 2-2.
Well, the motion of Gio Gonzalez is sometimes hard to pick up the baseball because you'll see his back stays closed for such a long period of time. You can see that ball kind of hit in his midsection, and you never pick it up until he throws off that stiff front leg and across his body.
Little trickler up 3rd, and no play for Rendon. It's an infield hit for Lagares. And the Mets have the first 2 men on.
Well, Juan will take it. A breaking ball that he's just trying to foul off, but he keeps it fair. And Rendon with 2 strikes, of course, is playing as far back as he can, so no play.
So the Mets with a couple of fortunate hits, one off Harper's glove and now a 40-foot trickler, and the table set for David Wright. David had a hit his last time up yesterday, a bloop single to right. He had a hit his final time up on Saturday as well, the walk-off single against the Brewers. Mets swept 3 over the weekend from Milwaukee. while the Nats went to Miami and won 2 out of 3 after taking 2 out of 3 in New York. So an early opportunity with Wright at the plate and Cespedes on deck. And David fouls back the first pitch fastball.
Good swing by David right there, right on that pitch. That's similar to the pitch that he hit off Blazer for that walk-off single.
You know things are not normal for David Wright when you look at his numbers against lefties this year and see he's hitting 200. Guy who has torn up lefties throughout his career. Granderson at second, Lagares at first, and nobody out. Just getting started after a rain delay of a little over an hour. Changeup in for a strike, and it's 0-2.
You know, I mentioned before that they last 12 starts by Gio have been to Lobaton. A lot of times you can have a favorite catcher, a guy that you're in simpatico with. You know, he seems to put down the right fingers when you need them. Ramos is their #1 catcher, though, so at some point you're going to have to throw to the #1 guy, and Gio Gonzalez with a test tonight.
He's ahead on right, 0-2. And David takes inside. You know, it's very much like back in the days when the Braves had Greg Maddux, and he didn't care to throw to Javi Lopez, and so he always threw to the backup guy, whether that was Eddie Perez or whoever else. But then you get to the postseason, you got to play your #1 guy, and that's what always bedeviled the Braves those years. So you have to at least get Gonzalez comfortable with Ramos.
Well, this is the way that pitchers think, and this is definitely not scientific. But what they think sometimes when they're pitching to the #1 catcher, who might be an offensive first, defensive second catcher, is that you'll be caught the way the catcher is hitting that day. If he's 3 for 4, he's going to put down the right fingers. If he's not, really has no interest.
Well,
not scientific now.
You hope he has some interest. Otherwise, you get a lot of pass balls. 1-2 coming, and David goes down swinging on the fastball, and that's the first out of the night.
Well, you know, awfully big swing with 2 strikes, Gary. Ball upstairs, a ball, certainly not a strike, and David going for the downs with that non-2-strike approach.
So 1 away, and now Yoenis Cespedes makes his second visit to Nationals Park. The first one was last September, and it was a thing to behold. That swept a 3-game series, came from behind in all 3 games, and Cespedes had an enormous hand in that. 5 extra base hits, 7 RBIs in the 3 games.
Well, shaded Murph up the middle, of course, to play Cespedes to pull, but he's been hitting the ball to right field more this year than we saw in the last 2 months of last season.
Cespedes also had a home run against Gio Gonzalez last week at Citi Field, the only run that Gio allowed in that game. Starts the night leading the National League in RBIs, leading the National League in slugging percentage, and hitting .400 against lefties with a home run every 8 at bats. He rips that one down the line foul, and it's 0-2. Neil Walker hitting 5th in the order, waiting on deck. Gonzalez ahead 0-2 on Cespedes, and he misses high.
That seems to be a pitch that I think Cespedes has been laying off more than we saw last year. The breaking ball in the dirt he'll still swing at, but that pitch up he's been a little better at taking.
His walk rate is up this year. His chase rate is down, and it's led to a spectacular start for Cespedes over the first 7 weeks of the season.
See, this is the kind of things that happen between a pitcher and a catcher who have not worked a lot together, is that you have these interruptions in the action where you don't have a good tempo going because they're not on the same page. Now, the 4th inning of that game, Gary, you mentioned that Cespedes hit a home run. That was on a 3-1 changeup that Gio Gonzalez threw. Let's see if he goes with any changeups this evening.
Granderson at second, Lagares at first, and 1 out. And he comes up and in with the fastball, and it's 2-2.
Well, the netting here is a little different than some of the other ballparks. Every ballpark had their own discretion to bring out the netting as far as they wanted to. Runs all the way to the end of the dugout on both sides to try to protect the fans.
That was the recommendation of Major League Baseball after they studied the problem last year. 2-2 coming. And that one trickles away from Ramos, but it's strike 3, no advance. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gonzalez, and they're 2 away.
Well, I did mention before that Cespedes still will bite on that breaking ball down, and that ball hit before the plate, but still 2 strikeouts in a row. And I think this is the most bedeviling part of watching the Mets offense is they get the first 2 guys on and 2 quick strikeouts.
Well, the numbers are stark. The Mets as a team hitting .210 with runners in scoring position, which is dead last in Major League Baseball. Now Neil Walker will try and salvage it with 2 out. You know, we've talked a lot over the last couple of hours about who's going to play first base for the Mets in the absence of Luca Studa. The other piece is who takes over this 5 spot, and it appears, at least for the moment, that's going to be Walker. Neil got off to a great start with the bat this year. Has cooled down in May. 9 home runs in April, only 1 in May. And he grounds one down to first. Zimmerman's got it, and that gets Gio Gonzalez through trouble in the opening inning. Bartolo Colon takes the mound when we come back. Brought to you by Hyundai. Ever since Jason Worth moved up to the 2-hole and Anthony Rendon moved down to 6, it seems to have revitalized this Nationals offense. Both Worth and Rendon have been hitting, and so has Ben Revere the last few days.
Well, Bartolo Colon got off to a quick start, but the last 3 starts have not been very good for the Mets husky right-hander.
Ben Revere takes up and away. Revere, whose season got off to an injured and then ineffective start, all of a sudden has begun to come on. 7 for 14 over the last 3 games. Revere, Worth, and Harper for the Nats against Colon, who was uncharacteristically wild his last time out. Walked 5 batters for the first time in a game in 11 years.
You know you've had a long career if you haven't done something for 11 years.
Revere flies one out to left field. And Cespedes is there. 1 away.
Well, defensively behind Bartolo Colon this evening after that catch by Cespedes for the first out. Your Lexus defense. Cespedes, Lagares in the game against the left-hander, and Granderson around the infield. Right, Cabrera, Walker, Eric Campbell, who seems to play every day now with the injuries, and Kevin Plawecki behind the plate.
You missed it earlier with Lucas Duda going on the disabled list. The Mets added Ty Kelly, who is a switch hitting utility man. He's here and available, wearing number 55. Jason Worth takes a strike.
You know, I didn't mention in the open, we mentioned everyone else had a chance to play first. Remember in spring training, Plawecki took some balls over there, but that's when d'Arnaud was the featured catcher.
We are told that d'Arnaud has begun throwing again. He will be going from California back to Port St. Lucie soon, but his return is still very much uncertain. Jason Worth hitting .321 over the last 8 games after a very difficult start, and he takes a fastball just off the plate from Colon, 1-2.
Well, Colon's got a little zip on that fastball tonight. You can see it. When he's down, he's got some life to it. When he's up, it flattens out.
Line toward the middle, and Worth's got a base hit. Well, a 1-2 slider that time from Colon.
Not an awful pitch, better hitting by Worth. Remember, with 2 strikes, if you have a 2-strike approach, this pitch is hittable because you're just trying to hit it up the middle. Colon is as good a fielder as there is at his position, in a perfect position, but can't believe it went through the 5-hole.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Bryce Harper will dig in. Harper continues to lead the world in walks. 48 walks now through the Nationals' first 44 games. And he flies one down the left field line. Cespedes over into foul ground to make the catch. Little more room between the line and the sidewall here than at Citi Field, but not much. And Cespedes had just enough room to reel that in for the second out.
You know, Gary, I don't know if it's the moisture in the air, but that ball had no spin on it, and usually that ball from a left-handed hitter down the line will curve foul into the stands. But I think you're right. With a little extra room and maybe the moisture in the air, that ball stayed in play.
So 1 pitch out for Colon as he gets Harper on the foul fly. And now Daniel Murphy, who continues to lead the National League in batting at .387. Worth at first and 2 out.
Saw this in the last game. Colon had a lot of throws to first with Worth on first base. So one, he feels like he can get him because Worth takes a pretty substantial lead.
Even though he rarely tries to steal a base at this point in his career. Colon has always been very difficult to run on. Shouldn't say always. As a Met,
yes,
he's been very difficult to run on. There was a time early in his career when they'd run wild against him, but he figured it out. And Murphy takes a strike.
Well, when he threw like Syndergaard, he held runners on like Syndergaard.
There you go. And Murphy hits one past the glove of Colon, and that sneaks through for a base hit. Worth will try to go first to third, and he'll make it without a throw. A seeing eye single for Daniel Murphy, and the Nationals have runners at the corners with 2 out.
Well, when the Nationals were facing the Mets in Citi Field, as you see the defense for the Mets, they're trying to cover every known territory for Daniel Murphy, and he still sneaks it in. We had a stat that Daniel Murphy of balls on the ground, his average was well over 500. Continues that here.
I mean, you assume that that number comes down at some point, but maybe it's just one of those magical years.
It can happen
when it doesn't. So here's Ryan Zimmerman, who had a monstrous home run in Miami the other night, but still hitting just .228 for the year and just .158 with runners in scoring position. So each team with a first inning threat. Mets got the first 2 men on against Gio Gonzalez, but he was able to get through it unscathed. And now a 2-out threat against Colon. Worth at third and Murphy at first.
Well, the Mets could use an out here. They've been behind after the first inning the last 3 days.
Early in the season, it was just the opposite. The Mets were getting first inning leads every day.
A 2-run home run given up by Harvey. 2-run home run given up by Matz. And yesterday, Syndergaard with a run in the first.
Zimmerman just 1 for 7 in his career against Cologne. And he lines one into right field for a base hit, and the Nats will get the first run of the night. Worth is in. 3 singles in the opening inning against Cologne. Zimmerman drives in the run, and it's 1-0 Washington.
Changeup, it looked like, up in the strike zone and hammered by Zimmerman to right field. With 2 outs, very surprised that Murphy did not go from first to third on his ex-teammate. Anyone has a scouting report, it'd be Murph. But he plays it conservative.
So a run is in on the Zimmerman RBI hit, and now the suddenly hot Anthony Rendon. Last 12 games, Rendon hitting .405, so he has really picked it up. Seemed like the Mets got him hot last week in New York, and he takes a strike. Rendon had the hit that knocked Cologne out of the game last Wednesday at Citi Field. 2-run single in the 5th.
Cologne was a strike away from getting out of that 5th inning.
Murphy at second, Zimmerman at first, and 2 out. Cologne off the plate, a ball and a strike.
Interesting when you watch Rendon. He starts with a completely open stance. Hitters try to do that. Certain hitters, because they want to get both eyes on the pitcher, focused on the pitcher. But once he strides, he never really completely closes, so it usually ends up a little open.
First guy I can remember in the modern era who did that was Andres Galarraga.
Yeah.
Right, he'd face the pitcher and then step all the way in, and he had such success with it. It bred a lot of imitators.
Well, he starts the grip with a changeup grip, and what he'll do once he brings it in his glove, then he'll change it to what he wants to throw.
And that just missed. Cologne thought he was going to get that call from Bill Welke, but now it's 3-1.
That's a strike. Bill Welke missed that pitch, and that's why Bartolo's scratching at the mound. See Wilson Ramos on deck. The reason why you hold it in the changeup and you go in your glove, that means your glove will always be fanned. This is a strike. Knees, corner.
Two-seamer seemed to come back over the plate, but Welke didn't give him the call, so Cologne behind 3-1 on Rendon. And that's fouled away.
Almost like, I don't know if Plawecki will do this because he's such a young catcher, is that you have to remind the umpire, stay with his pitches. They move a lot at the end. So a pitch that looks like a ball that the hitters have taken sometimes will come back in the strike zone.
Murphy and Zimmerman get set to run. 3-2 and 2 out. And Rendon whacks it foul. And Cologne's throwing hard tonight. He's been 89 to 92 with his fastball in this first inning.
That pitch right there down the middle, but he beat Rendon, put a little extra mustard on it. This ball splits the plate.
Bartolo's final start as a 42-year-old. Turns 43 tomorrow. Seems almost incomprehensible. In the air to left, and Cespedes has it lined up. And that retires the side, but the Nats cash a first inning run. A 2-out RBI hit for Ryan Zimmerman. 1-0 Nats after 1. The Mets play the Dodgers at 8 o'clock. The first 15,000 fans will receive a 1986 replica World Series championship ring. Asdrubal Cabrera grounds one to third. Anthony Rendon throws him out. One pitch and one retired. Did I tell you about the World Championship replica ring?
Why don't you finish up on that? I think
it's presented by H.L. Grossen Brothers Jewelers, and after the game, kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/1986. Here's Eric Campbell. Everyday Eric. His 11th start in the last 15 games. So here's the plan, right? Campbell plays first base for now, with Ty Kelly available as a backup. Michael Conforto starts to take ground balls at first base.
When it stops raining.
Alejandro De Aza continues to take ground balls at first base.
Hasn't played there in 13 years.
Wilmer Flores is eligible to come off the disabled list Friday, and he can play first base.
He's only had rehab at-bats in the extended spring.
Neil Walker could play first base, but he's a free agent at the end of the year.
And he wants to go as a second baseman as a free agent.
David Wright said, I will do it if you want me to, but I think that's for another year. And I think that's mostly because there's so much work involved in learning the position, and David can only do so much pregame activity that probably would work at cross purposes.
I mean, and David's barely getting on the field now with all the work he has to do. Imagine having to learn a new position. I mean, people think you can just dump a guy at first base. There's, they handle the ball more than after the catcher and pitcher than anyone.
3-2 to Campbell, and he bounces it foul. Well, here's the bottom line on all that. The Mets are going to try to see if Conforto can play first base. That's what seems pretty clear. But what's also clear is they're going to be looking outside the organization to see if there's a solution to be had by a trade or some other method. Backdoor curveball gets Campbell looking, and Gonzalez has his third strikeout.
Boy, that's a sharp backdoor curveball. Beautifully thrown in there by Gio. Well, we know one thing. This might be the bottom line. Keith's going to have a busy spring next year.
Maybe this year. I mean, you got a lot of guys who may be lining up to take ground balls at first base on a nightly basis. So, get to the ballpark early and take your turn. With Lucas Duda, was placed on the disabled list with a stress fracture in his back. It's very similar, we're told, to the injury David Wright had a few years ago. Remember when he made that diving play at third base and played for a month while it was broken, and then finally they diagnosed it, and he was out for a little over 2 months.
The strange thing, Lucas was supposed to be a huge part of this offense. He's only played 25% of the games, but he hasn't done a lot other than some home runs, and he has been anything but hot lately.
I think 7 for his last 41 as he goes on the DL. But certainly that power threat in the middle of the batting order will be missed.
It means something. It absolutely does.
Plawecki was just 1 for 13 on the just completed homestand. And he lays off the curveball from Gonzalez. 2-2.
In some ways, Gary, it might be a strange blessing. A team that strikes out a lot, doesn't put the ball in play, and when it does, it hits out of the ballpark. Maybe if you could get someone that takes his place that is more of a contact guy, a guy with 2 strikes who puts the ball in play, that when an RBI situation comes up with 2 outs, that it's not going to be a strikeout. Someone's going to put it in play and you have a chance.
3-2 to Plawecki. And he pops one up. In comes Harper. And that retires the side. So Gio Gonzalez has set down 6 in a row. It's dried out in D.C. 1-0 Nets. Georgia Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Well, this will be Bartolo Colon's last start as a 42-year-old. Only 4 pitchers have won more games between 40 and 42 than Bartolo, beginning with the greatest lefty of all time, Warren Spahn.
Like Warren snuck in there with the color picture. Very nice.
Wilson Ramos flies one out to right. Granderson goes back and he makes the catch going away. Granderson approached that with a little trepidation, but he got back there.
You know, that was a good catch by Granderson because he misread it from the start and the ball carried a little bit on him, but he didn't panic. That's what happens to good outfielders. They don't panic and start to scurry after the ball. He just kept chugging along and finally caught up to it.
1 pitch and 1 out for Colon in the second. Now Danny Espinosa. Espinosa hitting a .206 on the year. He's played a pretty good shortstop, but you have to wonder at what point this year do the Nationals reach down and bring up Trey Turner for good to be their shortstop.
38 Ks also, Gary. Second on the team. You know, Espinosa's got some pop. Defensively, he's real sharp. And I think that for all this time, a lot of times we felt that Espinosa was going to hit better, playing him to pull in the infield.
And he thinks about trying to lay down a bunt.
Did that against the Mets at Citi Field for a base hit. He had 2 hits on that night's game. When you look at him, he should be a better offensive player, but he just is not being able to make enough contact.
Oh-2 from Colon, and it's grounded foul. Your Verizon trivia question for tonight: who are the only 4 active players to reach 500 hits before their 23rd birthday?
Well, one of them's here, I'm sure, but that's an early trivia question. It must be because the game started at 8:10.
Probably so. Well, I got 3 in mind immediately. Here and in Anaheim and in Baltimore.
Active players, right?
Yeah. I don't know who the 4th one would be. 23 is young, though.
That is.
Colon ahead 1-2 with the pitcher on deck. Did we update Espinosa's picture?
I don't know.
Popped up, shallow left. Cespedes coming on, and that's the second out. I mean, we had the big bushy beard picture of Espinosa on our graphics when we were in New York.
We just updated the polos this year, Gary. Sometimes it takes some time.
You know, you were talking before about the changes Gio Gonzalez has made, influenced by Mike Maddox. I think his hairstyle's influenced by Jacob deGrom.
Yes, it is. We saw a picture pitching for the Indians today. Mike Clevenger had also had deGrom-like locks.
Now, does he get to trademark that in some fashion? I mean, they have the Here We Go T-shirts they gave out last year.
Yeah, but Clevenger's got to start getting people out. That's how you start to trademark stuff.
No, I meant deGrom.
Oh.
Right on the charge and throws out Gio Gonzalez, and so Bartolo Colon bounces back with a 1-2-3 second inning. After 2 in D.C., 1-0 Nats. time the Mets were here in Washington last September, it was the climactic series of the National League Eastern Division race. Mets came from behind in all 3 games and swept that series to build a 7-game lead and ended up winning handily the rest of the way in the National League East. That's how the entire season series went last year. A very low-scoring season series as the Mets won 11 of 19 after having been shellacked the year before by the Nationals. Bartolo Colon leads off and takes a strike from Gio Gonzalez.
Well, I remember that fist bump, that fist thrusted by Wright after he scored the run, you know, coming back to be with his ball club during the stretch. And then your call. The team doesn't know how to lose. There's our man Max coming off a outstanding outing in his last one. 7 shutout innings, I believe.
I think he went 8.
8
yesterday against the Marlins. Breaking ball down from Gonzalez, 2-2. It was good to see the heterochromic right-hander. Strike 3 called and Colon is out. Well, you look at the Mets versus Nats and go back to last year and the importance of beating the team at the top of the division with you. The first place team had the advantage in the season series against the second place team in 5 of the 6 divisions last year.
And all of them are pretty close except Texas and Toronto really schooled the Astros and the Yankees respectively. I mean, I believe that in my heart that's what's going to happen here, and it's over the first quarter of the season it's played out.
And Granderson gets drilled on the arm, and he's on base for the 2nd time. Only the 2nd batter Gio Gonzalez has hit this year.
Remember, there was a season where Curtis missed the entire year because he got hit with a pitch twice, and that one right off the right wrist or outside of the hand.
Well, he appears to be okay. So the Mets have a runner aboard with 1 out for Lagares, who had an infield hit his first time up. And that's lined into right field, a base hit for Lagares. Granderson will go first to third. Lagares holds on at first, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out. And Juan Lagares is 2 for 2. Granderson not buying the Daniel Murphy deke.
Interesting to see Gio talking to himself now. First pitch swinging for Cabrera in the beginning of the 2nd inning, and now Lagares on his 2nd at bat, jumping all over that fastball and hits it to the right just enough for Granderson to go first third on the tremendous arm by Harper.
So David Wright, who came up with 2 men on in the 1st inning and struck out, gets another crack here. 1st and 3rd and 1 out with the tying run standing at 3rd. You know, you talk about beating the team with you at the top of the division. That's hugely important. In the air to left field. That'll get the run in at least. Back goes Worth to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. David Wright with a 3-run homer. Fifth home run of the year for the captain, and the Mets take a 3-1 lead in the 3rd. Two nights ago he had the walk-off hit, and now an even bigger blow for David as he puts the Mets in front in Washington.
Doesn't happen any quicker than that. 3 pitches, hit by pitch, single, home run for 3 runs for the Mets. Again, via the home run.
The smiles have been few and far between this year for David Wright, but they're starting to come more frequently. What a big home run for David.
Again, like Lagares, just jumping on the first pitch. Looks like a changeup. First pitch to Wright. Sped up his bat and just hit it barely over the fence, but just enough.
Cespedes pops one down the right field line. That'll go foul.
Is Worth going back and at some point runs out of room.
Right above the flower bed.
It's hard to question the pitcher's decision on a pitch, but remember, Wright's first at bat.
Grounded toward the middle. Espinosa can't get it, and Cespedes has a base hit. So 4 straight Mets have reached base now. Mets with their 61st home run of the season versus the 27 they've given up. They've hit the most and given up the fewest of any team in the National League, and they have by far the highest differential in the major leagues.
Well, that's been their theme all season long, is that they're going to hit you into submission with these home runs. But I was talking about Gonzalez struck out right his first at bat with a high fastball, threw it right by him, and then counters with the first pitch changeup. Not a great choice.
Now Walker tries to keep the line moving, and he hits one toward the hole. Base hit. Another first pitch fastball base hit. 5 straight Mets have reached base. The last 4 via the base hit on a total of 6 pitches.
Well, here comes Maddox to talk to Gio Gonzalez. It'll be interesting to see now the maturity of Gio. Can he get out of this inning? Has to be a game plan by the Mets, because we've seen this from the first inning. They're trying to be aggressive against Gio. I think to stay away from that curveball if they can.
Well, Gonzalez has been so good so far this year, and for the most part has avoided this kind of inning where things seem to snowball on him, but we've seen this happen to him in the past.
Well, like I said, it'll be interesting to see if he can work his way out of this with this what I've called a newfound maturity.
Randerson was hit by a pitch. Lagares followed on the next pitch with a base hit. Wright on the next pitch with a 3-run homer. Cespedes hit a 1-1 pitch up the middle, and Walker on the next pitch with a base hit through the hole. And now it says Dribble Cabrera with 2 men on. Cabrera grounded out to third his first time up.
Again, stopping the action, changing the tempo for Gonzalez with a man on second base.
And a first pitch curveball in for a strike. Gonzalez threw 8 pitches to a span of 5 batters, and they all reached base. And time asked for. Cespedes was about to make a break toward third base.
It's Cabrera who called timeout. Bill Welke, when he jumped out of there, Cespedes leaning towards second and ready to go, and heard the time.
He thought he had Gio timed. Now Murphy edges a little closer to the bag to keep an eye on him. Hit the other way. Murphy can't get it. Base hit. Here comes Cespedes. He'll score. Walker goes to third. Cabrera keeps the line moving with an RBI single. And it's 4-1 New York. 5 consecutive hits for the Mets. When's the last time we saw that? This Mets team that's been so reliant on the home run, putting together a string of base hits.
Well, Murphy was trying to hold Cespedes close to second base, so he's only about 10-12 feet off second, and that ball hit right in the second base position, which could have been a double play. Instead, turns into a base scoring single. And Walker, he's got to hustle, because once that ball gets through, he knows it's between the outfielders. He can take third easily.
4 runs are home in the inning. The 8th man up is Eric Campbell, and he takes up and away for ball 1. No action as yet in the Nationals bullpen, but Gio Gonzalez having trouble closing the curtain. 6 straight Mets have reached base. 4 have scored. And you got first and third and 1 out for Campbell, who struck out looking his first time. Only once this year has Gonzalez given up more than 2 earned runs in a game, and he's given up 4 so far in this inning. That's drilled to center field. That'll get a run in. Revere gets over to grab it. Tagging at third is Walker. He'll come in to score the 5th run of the inning. Sacrifice fly for Eric Campbell makes it 5-1 New York.
Well, we talked about it last inning, right? With Lucas out, you have Eric Campbell playing first base. You know, a guy that, although he struck out his first at bat, usually puts the ball in play, and good sacrifice fly.
So now Kevin Plawecki will be the 9th man up in the inning. The inning began with Colon striking out, but then 6 straight Mets reached the sac fly by Campbell, and now Plawecki with Cabrera at first and 2 out.
Colon's always been known as a rally starter, Gary.
Well, he's on deck getting ready for his 2nd plate appearance of the inning, if Plawecki gives him a chance. Inspirational in many ways. And the curveball in the dirt, 2-0. What a strange inning this has been. 9th man at the plate, but only 19 pitches thrown in the inning by Gio Gonzalez.
The Mets haven't let him get deep in the count in this inning, in the 2nd time through the lineup. See again with the step off, all of these things that you didn't see in his first start at Citi Field with Lobaton behind the plate.
2-0 changeup, and he gets Plawecki lunging, 2-1.
Certainly not blaming it on Ramos. It's just that sometimes different courses for horses, you know.
So what do you do if you're Dusty Baker? Do you look at this and say they need to work more together, or do you go back to what was working?
Well, I think that you know, as someone who has such a mercurial personality as Gio, you might make an exception for his starts with Lobaton.
3-1 to Plawecki with the pitcher on deck, and he swings and he bounces one towards short. Espinoza on the charge, and that retires the side. But 9 Mets come to bat. 5 of them score, 3 of them on one big swing by David Wright. Wright's 5th home run of the year, a 3-run shot, helps the Mets to a 5-1 lead in the 3rd in Washington. Horizon trivia question. We asked which 4 active players reached 500 hits before their 23rd birthday. Figure Harper, Trout, Machado.
I had Cabrera.
Ooh, Starlin, Castro, and A-Rod.
We should have got that.
Right, A-Rod was up at 18. Castro picked up a 200 hit season at age 21.
That's right.
So there you go. Half right.
Machado was hurt a lot with a knee. 2 knees.
But Miguel Cabrera was a good call because he was up at 19 with the Marlins.
Yeah, surprising that.
So Bartolo Colon staked to a 4-run lead, second time through the Nats batting order. And Ben Revere takes a knee-high strike, and it's 1-1. Revere fly to left his first time up. Worth and Harper to follow as the Nats try and respond. Corners in against Revere, is always a threat to lay one down. And he hits one on the ground right at Walker. Goes down to a knee. I like the way Neil does that, especially on the ones where he's got a little time. He'll go down to that one knee to make sure.
Well, you know, there's no style in Neil Walker. And what I mean by that, his no style to me is great style. Plays like the old timers and get down on one knee. You can almost envision Bill Mazeroski getting down on one knee to make that play.
Well, you know, Maz was his mentor at second base when they converted him from catching in the Pirates organization. Here's Jason Worth, who singled up the middle and scored in the first, and taking all the way. It's not a great strategy against Colon, taking all the way on the first pitch. I mean, what's the likelihood he's going to throw ball one?
Well, maybe they were looking at his last start.
It's probably not the one to look at. That's
right.
The one to throw in the garbage.
You know, we always talk about shutdown innings, but this is not only real important for the Mets, but it's also really important for Colon. You know, they've given him a lead. How does he pitch with it, with all that expertise?
And he threw it by Worth 92 miles an hour to strike him out, and Worth goes away grumbling.
Well, two fastballs in the outside corner, and this one, no movement on it, just really threw the four-seamer, threw it as hard as he could.
What was Worth asking Bill Welke about after that at bat?
I think he was asking about the second pitch, not the first pitch, but he thought the second pitch was up and away.
First strikeout for Colon. That'll get Harper to the plate with the bases empty. Harper on the first pitch he saw from Colon hit a foul fly that Cespedes caught his first time up. And he takes a first pitch fastball for a strike. Colon looking much sharper than he has his last couple of outings.
Doesn't even look like the same pitcher from the last game.
Popped up, shallow center. Back goes Cabrera, and he reels it in. And that retires the side. 7 in a row retired by Colon. There's your shutdown inning. Bartolo with an 8-pitch inning. Made it look easy. back after a very rough third inning. And for more on Gio, let's check in with Steve Gelbs. Steve?
Gary, even though things did unravel a bit for Gio Gonzalez back there in the third inning, he's really taken some big steps forward in terms of maturity this year, like you guys have been talking about a little bit on the broadcast already. And speaking with people around the Nationals, he's really worked with new pitching coach Mike Maddox and new mental skills coach Mark Campbell on focusing up a little bit more and not getting out of control when things do start to unravel the way they did before. And the thing that he and Mark Campbell, the new mental skills coach, came up with is that anytime he feels like things are speeding up on him, he has to take a deep breath and say, feed the family. Feed the family. For him, that works. He has a newborn child. He doesn't like to get too far deep into why it works for him, but it's working for him. He's been using it.
Feed the family. Steve's report brought to you by Ram.
I would add steak to that because that makes sure that you're a 15-game winner or higher.
Well, you know, he is in the final year of a 5-year, $42 million contract as he strikes out Colon for the second time. And the team does have a $12 million option for next year. So I don't think feeding the family is quite the issue, but it's a mantra. I mean, that's how mantras work. Came over from the A's, and his first year with the Nats was a great one. He won 21 games that year, and he's been awfully good since. But up until tonight, he had been at a different level this year coming into this start. There's Curtis Granderson, who got hit by a pitch his last time up on the outside of his hand. He's been on base twice tonight with a single and that hit by pitch.
As a defense, Murphy very comfortable playing way out there as a kind of a roving infielder as they're shifted over against Curtis.
Last few days have been encouraging for Granderson. Got 3 hits, 3 walks, and a hit by pitch in his last 12 plate appearances.
You know, it was interesting to watch Gio through that inning where he gave up all the hits, the third, and he's almost pitching too quickly now. He's trying to make up for pitching slowly in the third.
And he runs a full count to Granderson with Lagares on deck. Gio's now 30 years old. Came out of Hialeah, Florida, from a family of Met fans. And Granderson goes down on the fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gonzalez, 2 out.
Well, this has really been the count that has haunted Granderson all season long. The 3-2 pitch out of the strike zone that he's not been able to hold back on. And Gonzalez, pretty smooth motion for the lefty.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lagares is already 2 for 2. And Juan takes a curveball for a strike.
You know, Steve mentioned Mark Campbell's name as an aside. Signed over here really at kind of like a free agent sports psychologist from Pittsburgh, where he did some amazing work with that championship team.
Revere picks off that broken bat liner, and Gonzalez has a 1-2-3 inning, still 5-1 New York.
A little weird, and I'm assuming there was no follow-up because I'm not sure, if it's truly being considered. So, I don't know. Or I could just talk to Keith for a couple minutes and learn it that way. So, I think that, if they are considering it, I'm sure at some point they'll come to me and have me take some ground balls over there, but I haven't been made aware of that yet.
Well, he's certainly a long-term candidate to play some first base down the road for the Mets, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
It's just a true testament to what I always say. It doesn't matter if Keith's here or not here. He's always part of the broadcast.
Yes, he is. Well, David was having some fun because, Keith has worked in the past with Daniel Murphy at first base. He worked with Wilmer Flores this spring at first base.
Lucas Duda, right?
So, whoever ends up being the guy, and certainly looks like Michael Conforto is going to get a little intense tutelage at first base. I would imagine that somebody will reach out to Keith to be a part of that. Keith, you listening? Go get the shorts. Murphy had a base hit up the middle his first time up, and he pops one foul. That'll come out of play. Fourth inning brought to you by the 2017 Audi A4 and your Tri-State Audi dealers. Murphy, Zimmerman, and Rendon against Colon has retired the last 7. Through just 8 pitches in the second, just 8 more in the third. Grounded toward the hole, and Murphy's got another ground ball base hit. It's at about 600 now on ground ball grounding. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, the one thing you can say, the defense is straight up by Walker, Cabrera to Paul. But the one thing in Daniel's defense, those balls are sharply hit. And if you hit sharply hit baseballs, better chance for them to be base hits.
No question about it. Last year he set records by hitting them over the fence in October. And now he's setting records for hitting them underneath.
To put that in perspective, last year for the Mets, balls on the ground, he hit barely over 200.
Right. Here's Ryan Zimmerman, who drove in the run for the Nats in the first inning. So Murph's gone from being Darryl LaMonica to being Joe Montana.
There you go.
It's gone to the West Coast offense.
You can do it all. Oh, that's early too.
I think the rain delay is throwing everybody off, even the horses.
This game is going to run from 10 to 11, guys.
Ball and a strike to Zimmerman.
Almost Colon keeps pitching the way he's pitching. 20 pitches in the first inning and then 2 8s in the second and third.
Well, he's already thrown 8 in this inning, so it's going to require a few more. Rendon waits on deck. Murphy at first and nobody out. And Zimmerman flies one out to center. And Lagares is there. 1 out. Now it's Anthony Rendon who flied to left his first time up.
It's a typical Colon game, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fly ball, 7 if you include the pop up to Cabrera to end the third inning. So a lot of those outs in the air. This is a pretty big ballpark also.
Yeah, this is a nice ballpark for a fly ball pitcher. Rendon flied out his first time up. Think the Mets will have a cake for Bartolo tomorrow? I mean, normally birthdays are not heavily celebrated in baseball clubhouses because birthdays move you closer to baseball mortality. But I would think that 43 is a pretty special one.
Well, exactly, just for the candles alone.
Fire code.
Right.
Rendon flies it out to right, and Granderson eases back. 2 out.
Gary, I will say that birthdays aren't really celebrated, not talked about, but there always is a birthday cake. There's always a fan or someone that knows it's your birthday. There's always a big birthday cake in the clubhouse whenever it's a player's birthday. And the same thing is done every single time. None of the players eat it. They always get some unsuspecting person and they go, boy, there's something sour about this cake. And they get someone to smell it and push their head into the cake. I mean, that has happened since the beginning of time.
Well, there's that. And then, you know, you and I were discussing ball 4 the other day.
Well, I'm giving you a little ball 4 stuff, but the cleaner version.
The ball 4 stuff we can't talk about on the air, but read the book. Doug Rader, I believe, was the perpetrator.
It's a thick book now.
It's okay.
You might not be in the Cliff Notes. You have to go and read the whole thing.
Oh, well.
An entire book.
It's worth the effort. It's funny. It's amusing. It'll give you a little insight.
Oh, it's hilarious.
What ball players think about.
A lot of free time.
Wilson Ramos flied out his first time up. And Colon falls behind him 2-0. Rare time that Bartolo's been behind tonight. He spent an eternity behind in the count in his last start against the Nats. Washington gets the bullpen going with pitcher spot 2 batters away. Sammy Solis, the lefty, begins the throw. With 3 lefties in that Washington pen. And Colon jams him with a changeup, and he fouls it off.
You know, there's the ball 4 book about baseball players and what they think about Espinosa on deck. Could be a strike 3 book in this booth, to tell you the truth.
Who's going to write it?
I don't know about that. Not me.
See, what we really need is a reality show.
This is anything but reality up here, I'll tell you.
Good stop by Plawecki on the slider. I mean, some might say that this is our reality show, but what happens when the mics are not on?
Pure gold, Jerry. Pure gold.
Why do they call it Ovaltine? Colon behind 3-1, and Ramos fouls it off. Full count.
You were mentioning Andres Galarraga's stance before when we were talking about Anthony Rendon. And Wilson Ramos was from Venezuela, had to grow up and idolize Galarraga, because when I see him, and I pitch against Andres many, many times, I see the big cat in the box.
Murphy gets set to run. Campbell still holds him on, and it's outside, ball 4. First walk given up by Colon, and the Nats have 2 men on.
That was not a pitch around as such, but he did not want to face the powerful Ramos when he had Espinosa on deck.
Game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Matt Harvey makes probably as important a start in the regular season as he's ever made, just for his own psyche. Tomorrow night goes up against Steven Strasburg, your City probables. The Wednesday day game, Steven Matz against Tanner Roark, as Matz tries to keep his phenomenal run going. 6 wins in his last 6 starts. Espinosa flied to left his first time up. And that caught the inside corner. 0-1.
Espinosa almost tried to lean into that and take that off that guard that's on his tricep. Watch this.
There's a certain art to that. Espinosa's been hit 7 times this year, which ties him for the National League lead. Guys get hit for different reasons. Some guys get hit because they stand right on top of the plate. Some guys get hit because they lean into the ball. Mets had a second baseman a number of years back named Danny Garcia. He seemed to be a magnet. I said, why do you get hit by so many pitches? He said, they don't like me very much.
Really?
I never Never figured out whether he was kidding.
Maybe he should have worked on his personality a little bit.
Seemed like a likable enough guy. I mean, he went to Pepperdine, so you know he had a smile on his face all the time.
Right. That's right.
Clint Robinson is out on deck. He'll pinch hit for the Nats if Espinosa keeps the inning going. Murphy at second, Ramos at first with 2 out. 1-2 to Espinosa. And he pops one up. In comes Cespedes. Side retired. Colon works around mild trouble in the 4th. Has a 5-1 lead going to the 5th. Well, we're in our nation's capital, so why not some martial music? Cue the Sousa.
Right.
We can only show you the base of the Washington Monument because it's, 555 feet tall. David Wright leads off in the 5th inning. David put the Mets in front with a 3-run homer in the 3rd, his 5th home run of the year. And Gonzalez comes in with a curveball for a strike. Here is that home run.
Change up first pitch. David was all over it.
Just had enough to get it out over the flower bed. Mets added 2 more runs in that 3rd inning. Gonzalez bounced back with a 1-2-3 4th. He's due to lead off in the bottom of the inning, so this is probably his last go round. And David reaching for that fastball, and it's 2-2.
Gio's had enough starts, so he knows. Bartolo's been around since the Pleistocene, so it's not that big of a deal for him.
Strike 3 called, and Wright is struck out for the 2nd time. That's 7 now for Gonzalez.
But Gary, there really is an art. You see this low fastball spotted by Gio to pitching in rain delay games. The first key, stay away from all the other 24 players because they're playing cards, they're having fun, they're watching a game on TV, doing all kinds of things. You just need to get away from them so you can keep your mind fresh for the game.
Here's Cespedes, who had to base it up the middle his last time up.
Honestly,
now, what did you say the name of the Nats mental skills coach was? You sure it wasn't Anthony Rendon? Because every inning before Gio throws his first pitch, Rendon is coming over and chatting him up.
It's funny, they look like brothers, don't they?
I don't think I've seen anything like this before. He's done it every inning.
Well, Gio's going good. I mean, having a tough night tonight, but this year's been great so far.
So you're saying whatever it is, if it's working, you stay with it.
Yeah, even if it's a tougher day today. No, I was saying that a lot of the things that are talked about in the clubhouse are the same things that are talked about here in the booth during a rain delay. Do you think they're going to call it? If they call it, when do you think it's going to be? A doubleheader tomorrow? I mean, all of those things are discussed, and if you sit around with the guys, that's all you hear is all the stuff about, okay, if they call it, let's go to this steakhouse. Or what, I mean, that's the kind of things that happen.
You lose your edge.
Yeah.
3-1 to Cespedes. In the air, center field, well hit. Revere going back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Yoenis Cespedes, number 15. Cespedes got the count in his favor, and he unloads against Gio Gonzalez, and the Mets now lead at 6-1. Well, he owned this ballpark for 3 days last September. He's renewing the lease.
Remember, we talked about in the fourth inning of the game in Citi Field, Gio gave a home run on a changeup to Cespedes that he hit out to left field, and here goes to right center.
Cespedes against Gonzalez now 6 for 10 with 2 home runs.
Fastball away and down. I mean, that is not a bad pitch.
Walker lifts one to deep left. Worth going back near the wall and leaping. It's out of here. Neil Walker goes deep. Back-to-back home runs for Cespedes and Walker, and it's 7-1 New York. Walker's 11th home run, his 4th as a right-hand batter, more than he hit in the last 5 years combined.
Jumps on that first pitch again. This one a changeup after the fastball to Cespedes, and just like David Wright, just sneaks it over the wall into the flowers. Isn't it funny how the National League works? You are very content on having a pinch hitter hit for your pitcher because you don't want him in the game. But because you don't get to that pinch hitter, you have no problem putting him back out for the 5th inning where he's given up a couple of solo home runs. Now, this is the right-handed swing we saw from Walker in his first 10-15 at-bats as a right-hander this year.
Well, the Mets resorting to their home run hitting ways. They've gone deep 3 times. That's the 7th time this year already the Mets have hit back-to-back home runs. It's not even the end of May. Walker's been involved in 4 of those 7 back-to-backers. Cabrera hits a sinking liner into right, and that's a base hit. So Cabrera has his 2nd hit of the night.
Well, that was quite a graphic we put up. So 0 multi-home run games by Gonzalez in his last 44 starts. Is that what you guys put up?
He had not allowed more than 1 home run in any of his last 44 regular season starts. It was the longest streak of its kind for active pitchers, and now he's given up 3 tonight.
That's a great graphic, guys. Wow.
Well, he's taken a pasting tonight. 7 runs and 10 hits. By far his worst outing of the year. And it's interesting to note, you know, the Mets are facing Gio tonight. They're facing Strasburg tomorrow, both of whom beat them last week. It's been a long time since a pitcher beat the Mets in back-to-back starts. You got to go back to Doug Fister, who did it for the Nationals in 2012. Teams don't play as many back-to-back series as they used to, but it still happens. And nobody's been able to pull that off in the last 4 years.
Well, I think it helps when you face a pitcher. This used to happen all the time when I played. You would face a team sometimes, Gary, back-to-back starts, and advantage the offense the second time, obviously, and advantage Mets in this game.
Well, with the count 2-0, Ramos going out there to kill as much time as he can. Blake Trinan has joined Sammy Solis in the Nats bullpen.
Well, we were talking about Gio before and his maturity, but a little begging there, although a good pitch. Hey, when you give up 7 runs and 3 home runs, there's the bullpen with Solis and Treinen. You're going to start losing your edge.
Nice stop by Rendon. Gets the out at second. No relay by Murphy. He drops the ball, but that's on the transfer. So they get the out on Cabrera for the second out as Rendon saves a double.
What a bullet hit there by Eric Campbell, and beautiful play by Rendon. Got rid of it quick. Perfect throw to Murph, and Murph couldn't get rid of it.
Don't think he had to play at first anyway, but that's the second out. Campbell now at first, and Kevin Plawecki coming up. So the Nats, despite the fact that Gio is getting hit hard batter after batter, trying to nurse him through this inning with his spot in the lineup due up in the bottom of the inning. Three starts back, Gio had a start at Wrigley Field where he gave up 5 runs over 5 2/3. Every other start this year, he had allowed 2 earned runs or less.
Well, that start was a series that the Nationals lost 4, I believe, in Wrigley Field to the Cubs. Mets know all about that.
Grounded down to third. Another play for Rendon. And that retires the side, but not before the Mets put up their 7th set of back-to-back home runs this season. Cespedes parks one to right center. His 15th. And 2 pitches later, Walker adds his 11th. 7-1 New York halfway through. Gio Gonzalez, 7 runs, 10 hits over 5 innings. He is done. Chris Heisey will bat for him, leading off in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, Heisey has been great off the bench. I've got him for 3 for 10 for 3 solo home runs off the bench.
That's good.
Yeah.
Heisey, the longtime Cincinnati Red, had a little cup of coffee with the Dodgers last year. And now a prime bat off the bench for Dusty Baker. And Colon throws a strike, 1-1.
Well, they had Tyler Moore for a few seasons. He had one real solid season here in Washington, and Heisey really replacing that bat.
The problem with Moore was when you played him, he did great. When he pinch hit, he was not successful.
We've seen that with a lot of Mets players over the last few years, right?
It's a tough role for a younger player. Off the plate to Heisey, and Colon's behind 3-1. Ben Revere on deck, then Jason Worth. Cologne gave up a run in the first inning, but it's been airtight since and has gotten plenty of runs to work with. Full count to Heisey.
Really interesting. As soon as the count became 3-1, every infielder and outfielder for the Mets took 2 steps to their right, to the pull side, expecting Heisey to pull and hit it harder.
And he walked him. 3-2 fastball inside, and that's the second walk in the last 3 batters for Cologne. Follow Mets baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app, which includes game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. In the 5th inning.
Well, never a good time to walk anybody, but certainly not here with a 7-1 lead.
Ben Revere is fly down, grounded out. 0 for 2 today. Yeah, he takes a strike from Cologne. Well, it's been a good bounce back start so far for Bart. The 2 walks in the last 3 batters, surprising, but he certainly has been sharper than what we saw the last couple of outings. Double play ball. Cabrera with the turn. 4-6-3 double play, and that's how you erase a walk. 2 out and nobody on.
Boy, nice hands by Walker, and he knows Revere's running, but the ball is hit so hard, but he wanted to make sure he got rid of it quickly. Cabrera skates over the bag and makes an accurate throw. So after he catches the ball that almost beat him there, he walks it over, backhands it to Cabrera, who makes sure that he kicks the side of the base before he proceeds on to first base.
Did you ever think you'd see Ben Revere thrown out by 20 feet on a double play?
Well, that's the only way you can double up a guy that with his speed is he's got to hit a bullet, and he did.
Jason Worth up with 2 out and nobody on. Worth singled and scored back in the first, struck out in the third. Out to right field. Granderson toward the line. Side retired. So after the leadoff walk, the rest came easily for Cologne. A 10-pitch inning. After 5 in Washington, Mets up 7-1. Yeah, it's been a huge difference for the Mets this year, that middle infield defense, as Blake Trinan takes over the pitching for the Nats.
Nice music. Nice hi-hat on the drum, by the way. Blake Trinan, 21 of the 45 games for the Nationals he's appeared in so far.
Felt like it was in a Carnaby Street go-go in the 60s.
I would love to be sporting the mod look in those days.
Mods and rockers. Colon has struck out twice. And Blake Trinan fires a fastball in for a strike. Gio Gonzalez, 5 innings, 7 runs, 10 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts, 3 home runs. His ERA went up a full run from 1.86 to 2.87. Still early enough in the year for that to happen. 2-1 to Colon.
Blake Trinan is the first guy that I've seen that throws the sinker like Roger McDowell, my old teammate. He throws harder than Roger did. Roger had better control.
So what makes it like Rogers?
Because the ball goes straight down. Most sinkers have a little bit of angle to it, running in on righties or away from lefties, but his really just disappears straight down when he's throwing it right, like that.
And Colon caught looking for the 3rd straight time.
He's got a very easy motion. He's a very big, strong kid, and if he ever learns how to control that sinker and slider of his, he is going to be so valuable for this Nationals team. Unlimited talent.
Now Curtis Granderson has been on base twice tonight with a single and a hit by pitch. He's scored a run. 1 for 2.
The one thing that's interesting, Gary, about really good sinker ball pitchers, almost all of them throw across their body because they get that kind of whip-like action and they brace it against kind of that stiff front leg, and the ball will have that movement down.
One to Granderson. Checks his swing and takes a strike. 1-2. And trying and skips that slider to the backstop. Almost got Granderson on the foot. 2-2.
I think that caught Ramos a little bit as Welke will go out to hand the ball to Trinan. Ramos trying to walk it off. Slider down and in. Oh, caught the bare hand. Yeah, caught the right hand. Remember when Ramos was crossed up when he came in to replace Lobaton in that game at Citi Field?
Right.
He was crossed up and tried to almost caught it with his bare hand, and boy, that would have put him on the disabled list. But catchers have to take that beating.
Ball came right off his thumb. It can't feel good. Taken the other way, and Granderson has a base hit. Rendon, the only infielder on the left side, and Granderson got it by him for his 2nd hit of the night. Let's check in with the studio. Justine Ward has a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Miguel Cabrera has 2 home runs in that game. Vince Velasquez started that game for the Phillies.
Big pelf.
Here's Lagares, who's had a good night at the plate. 2 for 3, and the only time he was retired was on a bullet to center field that was caught. By the way, did you see what happened this afternoon when Ryan Vogelsong got hit in the face by a pitch?
You know, I was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, as was Vogelsong today. The bases were loaded, and that's the last time you would ever expect it as a pitcher, because you think the other pitcher's going to go right at you.
Double play ball to Espinoza. Murphy with the turn, and the 6-4-3 double play gets Trinan through the top of the 6th. Mets having their way tonight in D.C. It's 7-1. nighttime look at the Jefferson Memorial. But let me tell you about this promo. Stay in the know with the latest Mets roster updates as well as instant post-game coverage and reaction on Mets Blog presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV.
Monticello to Mets Blog. What a transition.
Bryce Harper leads off in the home 6th inning and takes high from Bartolo Colon. Harper is flied out to left and popped up to short. Total of 3 pitches in his first 2 at bats. A little different for Harper with all the walks he's been drawing lately. And he flies this one down the left field line. Cespedes on the move, but that'll be beyond his reach. Harper in the month of May, in 20 games before today, 31 walks. And he didn't even draw a walk in the first 4 games of the month, so it's 31 in his last 16 games. And that's the most walks ever in a calendar month for a national/expo in the history of the franchise. Kenny Singleton had the old record of 28 in a month. That was back in 1973, and Harper's already got 31. He's got a week to go in the month.
Well, kids, if you like stats at home, go check out the back of the baseball card of Ken Singleton and see what he did as a player. Unsung.
Walker makes the play on Harper for the first out. Well, of course, Kenny began his career as a Met.
That's right.
Traded him to Montreal to get Rusty Stahl, which turned out to be a good deal for both teams.
Let me ask you a question. You've been around a long time like me. So 25 years ago, you would be talking about Bryce Harper hitting .255 after an MVP year, not his 31 walks. I mean, it's so important in today's game. The on-base percentage.
I think with the volume of the walks, you'd still be talking about it, and you'd be talking about how much they're pitching around him. Murphy flies one out to center. Easy for Lagares.
So you're telling me that in Ken Singleton's day, with those 28 walks, that was the big thing in the written about and talked about?
Maybe not, but in a situation like this, especially the series that the Nats had in Chicago, I think that and the way they treated him, that would have drawn a lot of attention. It especially in that it forced Dusty Baker to flip-flop his 4 and 5 hitters, right? Because Zimmerman was struggling so much hitting behind Harper, and he moved Murphy up.
Well, to me, that's what Joe Maddon did. He not only wanted to mess with Bryce Harper, but he really threw the gauntlet down to Ryan Zimmerman. You know, can you pick the Nationals up if we walk Harper over and over again?
And it did seem to mess with Zimmerman to the point where Dusty had to pull him out of that cleanup spot. Well, the Mets have gone right after him. They had the one game in that last series in New York where he walked 4 times, but for the most part, and this goes back to last year, the Mets have walked him at a much lower rate than have other teams. They have felt as though they've had the capacity to get him out, and for the most part, they've done a pretty good job.
Well, they face him the most. They should have the best book on him, if there is a book. He's such a talented offensive player.
Meanwhile, Colon trying to get through this 6th inning. His pitch count has stayed low, which could be a big boon to the Mets tonight. Slapped on the ground, but Walker can't quite get to it, and Zimmerman has a 2-out hit. So Zimmerman with his 2nd hit, both have gone to right field.
Well, you can see Zimmerman's swing is a lot different than it was when the Nationals faced the Mets at Citi Field. It's a little quicker. He's handling the ball away. He's hitting the ball to where it's pitched. All the things that we've seen when he's at the top of his game.
So the Nats have their 5th hit of the night, and now Rendon, who's flied out twice to left and to right. And letter high strike to Rendon. Seven to 1, 6th inning. You holding Zimmerman on base?
Not with an inexperienced first baseman. I would let him play behind Zimmerman and dare him to try to steal a bag,
which he has not attempted to do all year.
Play right behind him, fake to first a couple times with your glove, smacking your glove behind him like you're going to come behind him, and then back up, because Rendon does hit the ball that way very well.
Is that what he's saying? What are you doing holding me on? There he goes. He takes off with Colon delivering the pitch home. It's a strike. Colon did not realize that Zimmerman had taken off, and he didn't step off, and Zimmerman steals the base. So there you go.
And Rendon didn't know what to do, and he just took the pitch down the middle.
I mean, you talk about a walking lead.
That was interesting. He took off. Campbell backed up. The middle infielders didn't cover. Rendon didn't swing.
And there's strike 3 called to make the whole thing moot. Second strikeout of the night for Colon. He's through 6 with a low pitch count and a 6-run lead. Swiping this base in odd fashion from Colon.
Oh, I know why he swiped the base. I missed it. With the guy on first, did you see what Bartolo Colon did?
No.
As he goes in the dugout and gets some ribbing, fake high fives. He pitched it from the windup.
Oh.
That's why he took off.
He forgot there was a man on first.
Yes. Oh, I just saw that. Thanks for the replay.
So he was a little sheepish coming into the dugout.
10 o'clock is my bewitching hour. I guess that's all I can work from 7 to 10.
You know, the rain delay has thrown everybody off tonight. Threw Bartolo off, obviously Gio Gonzalez, you and me. Said I forgot. Yep. By the way, Bartolo does speak English.
He does. Oh, yeah.
Well, he never conducts interviews in English, so the fans might not know that, but he just prefers to do it in Spanish, but his English is just fine.
If you do it, your interviews in English, you have to do them twice. If you do them in Spanish, you only have to do it once.
And it's a lot easier for the Latino players now to do the interviews in Spanish because every team now is a full-time Spanish translator. How it took till 2016 to get to that point, I have no idea. Right hits one out to right, chasing Harper back, and Bryce reels it in for the first out.
I think there was a long time also, Gary, before the interpreters, that even if a Spanish-speaking player's English was extremely good, they're afraid of messing up at some point and saying something that would be, not correct against the other team or against their own teammates.
Your Chrysler Mets box score. Mets have hit 3 home runs tonight, including back-to-back shots by Cespedes and Walker. Wright has a 3-run homer, and the Mets doing what they've done so often this year, bludgeoning the opposition with the long ball. Cespedes 2 for 3 today, including that home run. Facing Blake Treinen, who's working his 2nd inning in relief. I'll just think if you or I tried to conduct interviews in our second language.
I mean, disaster. I have disaster in my own language.
And the thing that made no sense for so many years is that Japanese players would come to this country and they'd have an interpreter.
Yeah.
Korean players would come, they'd have an interpreter, but there would be 10 Spanish-speaking players in the clubhouse and they wouldn't have an interpreter. And so a coach like Ricky Bonas did for years would have to serve as an interpreter, but that's not their training.
Or a fellow player would have to do it, and it makes no sense because it doesn't make any sense. Sorry, because there's like I said, sometimes I have trouble with the English. Doesn't make any sense because some of the best players you want to brand them also. And
there's Ricky, who has now given up his translating duties. Charged by Espinosa, and he throws out Cespedes, and it's one of a couple of things that Major League Baseball has done this year in deference to the incredible influence and importance of Spanish-speaking players in our game. You can win a Jesse Orosco autographed baseball. Just follow at SNY on Twitter. Retweet our tweet about the 86 weekend sweepstakes, and you'll be entered to win. The other thing they've done is they've encouraged teams to ask their Latino players if they want the accents on their jerseys. Like Cespedes now has the accent over the first E, and that's in keeping with doing a better job of accurately representing the Latino players in the game. Here's Walker, who's 2 for 3 today, including a home run, and he takes a strike. Walker's home run came right-handed against Gio Gonzalez. 4 of his 11 have now come as a right-hand batter. Just a stunning turnaround for Neil, who had struggled so mightily as a right-hand batter these last few years. Now he's got that rare chance to hit one from both sides. Treinen misses away. Mets have had some powerful switch hitters over the years who've hit home runs from both sides in the same game. Howard Johnson, Bobby Bonilla, Carlos Beltran,
Todd Hundley.
Yep. I think, if I remember this correctly, when he was with the Indians, Carlos Baerga became the only player to switch hit home runs in the same inning.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, Carlos later played for the Mets as well. I don't remember whether he switched hit home runs in the same game as a Met.
Always led the league in hair gel, Carlos.
And electric blue suits. Here's the 2-2. That's up and away, and a full count to Walker.
No one had more fun than Carlos Baerga playing ball, didn't he?
He has style. Still does. See Carlos from time to time. Treinen's 3-2, and Walker goes down on the slider to end the inning. Second strikeout for Treinen in relief. That takes us to the 7th inning stretch in Washington. Cologne and the Mets up 7-1. destruction in so many ways.
Yeah.
Wilson Ramos leads off the home seventh for the Nationals against Bartolo Colon, who has had himself an efficient night. Ground ball to the shortstop. Nice backhand play by Cabrera. One pitch and one out for Colon in the seventh. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Gary, as we continue our progress with Steven Matz here, checking in with him each and every day in between his starts, today was a little bit different than it normally would be for him 3 days after his start. It's supposed to be the day he throws his bullpen, but because of the weather, he altered things a little bit. So came in, did a 15-minute warm-up, then worked out his rotator cuffs a little bit. Then would have been the time where he threw his bullpen session. Instead, he came outside, threw a very long toss with Jacob deGrom, about 200 feet, a little bit more maybe, just to really get that arm moving, get that arm loose, full range of motion before coming back in and doing his upper body workout. Now, this B routine, if you would, was developed last year for him in Las Vegas. It was the first time in Vegas that he really pitched every 5 days. Prior to that in his professional career, he was pitching on a 6-day schedule, and he found himself getting tired in between starts at times. So he spoke with Frank Viola and Ron Romanek, and they developed a plan basically where they said you don't need to throw your bullpen all the time in between starts. Do what you can to feel strong, and this is what he came up with. Uses it from time to time now.
Espinosa pops it up. Cabrera called off by Cespedes, and they're 2 out. You hear all the time about pitchers skipping their bullpen sessions later in the year, but it's awfully early for that, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, but he's pitching, coming off an amazing game, also coming off a game where he had missed the start because of injury. So I was watching him and Jacob deGrom play long toss, the longest toss I've ever seen in the outfield in the rain. But yeah, usually I would get to maybe August, because remember the All-Star break, you got some time off if you're not an All-Star. So you can rest up then. But by the time I got to August, if I was on time and getting people out, I would miss those sessions in the bullpen. Absolutely. No need to waste your bullets.
Stephen Drew pinch hitting, grounds one foul.
And you know, guys, spending some time with Matz, the feel that I continue to get is that for him, it's more about feel than necessarily a strict routine. This is something today that he felt like it made sense for him to do. He doesn't necessarily say, I'm going to long toss and throw 20 balls, 30 balls from 200 feet. He does it just based on how his arm is feeling. Then he said when they started to move back a little bit closer, he just threw a few changeups to Jacob deGrom just because that's a field pitch. But again, with Matz, it just seems each and every day he really tries to listen to what his body is telling him as he again tries to figure out how to maintain health throughout a season.
That was John Zajac, the Mets physical therapist, with the cup on his head.
Could make ball 4, the next edition.
Pitchers have nothing to do so much of the time.
So true. I wish I could dispel the notion, but it's true.
2-2 to Drew.
The day after I pitched, I used to go for a long run, so 5+ miles. Next day, foul poles, 20 of them with Mel Stottlemyre for the next 2 days. Sprints the day before your start, and then you go get them.
Drew pops it up. David Wright checks out where he is and puts it away to retire the side. Colon just keeps on rolling. 7 strong for Colon and more left in the tank. 7-1. Stop for the Nats, and the former Met farmhand Yusmeiro Petit will come on to pitch.
Well, we know him from pitching in the postseason with the San Francisco Giants, who he's with for 4 seasons. Now here with the Nationals. Hasn't given up a run in his last 9 2/3 innings.
As Drupal Cabrera leads off in the 8th. Looks like Bartolo's going to come out after 7 innings and 90 pitches. Let's get their bullpen cranking. So a reason to smile for Colon after 2 so-so starts. He was on top of his game today. Murphy bobbles it, makes the recovery in time to throw out Cabrera. 1 Murph out.
1 Murph out there. Very, very good, Gary. Murph has 4 errors so far, leads the Nationals, but this hustle makes that play.
Jerry Blevins, the former National, getting ready in the Mets bullpen.
Petit has the major league record, if retired 46 consecutive batters to set that major league record. I think it beat the old mark by Mark Burley.
That's when he was with the Giants. Drive around the majors presented by Chevy. 2 Miguel Cabrera home runs as the Tigers in front of the Phillies 5-4 in the 8th. Cubs up on their arch rivals, the Cardinals, 3-1. That's in the 7th now.
Wainwright's ERA hovering around 6. He had a good start in his last start where he decided to throw more 2-seam fastballs.
It's John Lackey going for the Cubs tonight. Campbell has a sacrifice fly, otherwise 0 for 2. And he grounds this one down to Rendon. Now a wide throw, and Zimmerman came off the bag, and Campbell's safe. Rendon normally so sure with his throws, but this one a little wide.
Well, he takes an extra time here. Stylemaster costs him an error. Picks it up, takes his time, lets it go. Murph thought that Zimmerman was on the bag and to check it, but it doesn't look like Dusty's going to do it. Listen, it's great to take your time and do whatever you want to do, but if you don't make a perfect throw, it costs you an error.
The umpires are waiting to see if Dusty wants to challenge. What happened to the 10-second rule or whatever it was? And they are going to challenge.
Well, looking through the black bottom of my monitor, I think his foot was on, Gary. But the thing about Zimmerman, he made it look so awkward once he caught it that it looked like his foot might have come off.
Well, that foot came flying up.
Yeah, flying up. And Murphy even said that he had it, but
I don't know.
It's a hard call.
Maybe, maybe not. It's awfully close. I know that, you know, if you're Dusty, you have to challenge it, right? But
save your guy in error.
It's the 8th inning of a 7-1 game.
Yeah. Well, from that shot, it looks like he might be there, but it's impossible to tell.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to overturn it. Laz Diaz's crew and Jeff Nelson's crew are in the bunker in Chelsea making these decisions tonight. Play Under Review brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters.
Wonder if Rendon, because he had that meeting with Gonzalez right now, is saying, feed my family, feed my family. Don't give me an error. Feed my family.
Could be beans tonight.
I promised myself the last game that I was not going to discuss this anymore. I've stopped eating in the cafeteria, so I can start this too. This will be. Here we go.
Almost. And they say he was on the back. So the Nats win their challenge. So take away the error. Put a 5-3 put out in your scorecard. And it's 2 more minutes of our lives we'll never get back.
Thank God that happened correctly, because I don't know if I could have slept tonight without that call being reversed.
Got to get it right, Ron.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 out and nobody on now. Here's Kevin Plawecki. So Petit's retired the first 2, and Plawecki pops one up. And Zimmerman waiting for it. And that retires the side. 6 pitches, 1 review for Petit to get a 1-2-3 inning. 7-1. Blevins coming in. And John Hine will look ahead to tomorrow's Mets-Nats game as Matt Harvey looks to get back on track on Loudmouths, presented by Cheapo Air, tomorrow at 5:30, only on SNY. They left a vapor trail.
That was a quiet lead to Loudmouths, by the way. Jerry Blevins pitched 4 days ago, inning of work, got a strikeout. We haven't seen the real sharp curveball by Blevins in this month.
Michael Taylor is going to pinch hit for Ben Revere, leading off in the home 8th inning. Blevins facing his old team. And Taylor takes up and away for ball 1. Taylor got a lot of playing time early in the year when Revere was hurt. It's been a real struggle for him. But we know the kind of talent he's got, power, speed. 4 home runs this year. Sammy Solis up in the Nationals bullpen. Been up 3 or 4 times already. So Bartolo Colon in his final start as a 42-year-old. He turns 43 in an hour and 36 minutes. He threw 90 pitches over 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Job well done by Colon.
Well, 2 years ago at the end of spring training, the Mets needed a left-hander and sent Matt Dendecker over to the Nationals, and down south on 95 came Blevins.
Colon lowered his ERA to 3.44 tonight as Blevins gets even on Taylor 2-2. So you have to say that for Bart, 42 was a pretty good year.
Yeah. Well, I like that he's back to what he usually does. We've got some great stats here from Paul, our statistician. 21 of the 27 batters faced, first pitch strike. That's almost 80%.
Taylor caught looking for the first out.
Fell behind a hitter 2-0 just once. And 4 of his 7 innings, he threw 10 pitches or less.
So after a start where he walked 5 batters in 4 2/3, back to being himself.
And that's the most important thing.
By the way, before that hour and now 35 minutes expires, we have to pass along happy birthday wishes to John DeMarsico, our associate producer, who is far younger than Bartolo Colon and is celebrating a birthday today, and has been. But we were hoping to get him out of here for a little celebration before midnight, but now with the rain delay, it's a little dicier.
Just have to stay up later, Gary. Well, John has been such a great addition to our crew here, because we're like, I don't know, you have the team, you have us, you know what I mean? And we've got to kind of humor ourselves, and John's a big part of that.
It's a big part of our team.
Yes.
Yeah. 2-1 to Werth. I realized that with John DeMarsico celebrating his birthday today, I realized something that was very distressing. He is now officially half my age.
Wow. Bummer for you, my man. You know what's strange about television is that you guys are just a little older than me in the booth, but almost every place I go, I'm the oldest person in the room. I mean, that happens everywhere you go.
Well, especially now that you're a dad again.
Yeah, right.
Wait till you go to those school functions up the middle of the base hit for Werth. So Werth has his second hit of the night. I mean, really, I'm sure you've done the math on, when
it was harsh. The math was harsh.
When Cash is graduating from college.
Yeah, I'm going to be in a little bit. I honestly, I have to stick around a lot longer than I was expecting to.
Well, we're glad to have you. Here's Harper. Harper 0 for 3 tonight. He's now 1 for 12 against Met pitching so far this season. It's only have to survive him for 15 more games. Colon had his number today. And Blevins paints the outside corner, 0-1. It's got to be a trial for a young player like Harper. I mean, it's different if you're older. I mean, with Bonds, the years that he walked 200 times. But as a 23-year-old, to have the patience to find that one pitch a night that you might be able to hit when everybody is pitching around you.
Yeah, not miss it. You know, I mean, that's the key. That's what made Barry so great at those years, is that he never missed it. Now, that's a good breaking ball. Exceptional one by Blevins.
I mean, it's got to be such a fine line to tread to not be over anxious and swing at the pitches out of the strike zone when they're pitching around you, and still locate that one pitch you can drive. Grounded slowly, Wright waits on it, goes to second. They get the force play there. So Werth is erased for the second out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Affinity Health Plan, serving the healthcare needs of New Yorkers for more than 30 years. By Empire City Casino, Manhattan's closest casino. Game on. And by Cure Auto Insurance, 25 years of saving you money. Drive well. Here's Murphy, who's 2 for 3 tonight. Single to center, single to right. Harper at first. Campbell will play behind him.
Well, Murph is #1 in average multi-hit games, hits. That'll only go up tonight.
He's got 65 hits now. His average up to 392. There's the slow curve by Blevins. The ball and a strike.
Blevins lets this pitch go. One finger is almost off the ball. It's like a spike curveball.
It almost feels like the ball never leaves his hand. It's coming in so slowly. So the Phillies lost their game in Detroit 5-4. Vince Velasquez went only 4 innings in that game, not involved in the decision.
Have you noticed they're really keeping him on a strict kind of pitch count? He's had a lot of 5-inning starts.
Three and one now to Murphy. So the Tigers not only won the game, they also got good news about Jordan Zimmermann, the former National. His groin injury not nearly as serious as they had feared. So he might just miss one start.
He's been there given in that rotation.
Miami rallied, beat Tampa Bay tonight 7-6, keeps the Marlins over 500. Murphy pops one up into shallow right. Walker called off by Granderson, and that retires the side. So a scoreless inning for Jerry Blevins out of the bullpen, and that sends us on to the ninth in D.C. with the Mets cruising 7-1.
Matt Reynolds.
Sammy Solis will pitch the top of the ninth for Washington.
Drafted in 2010 in the second round for the Washington Nationals. Did not pitch in 2012 because of Tommy John surgery.
Matt Reynolds pinch hits for New York, still looking for his first big league hit. Reynolds 0 for 4 so far in his major league career, but had a big sacrifice Saturday to help the Mets cause in the bottom of the ninth. Logan Verrett looks like he'll pitch the ninth inning for New York.
Was that with 2 strikes?
Yes, it was. Couldn't get it down the first 2 times, and then Campbell, who was the runner at second, took off for third on the 0-2 pitch, and Reynolds got the bunt down. That part of it was a little strange, but it all worked out. Wright got the base hit to drive in the winning run. And Reynolds strikes out. That's the first out of the ninth. Let's see what's coming up on WB Mason post-game line check in with Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa, guys. All right, gentlemen, here's Curtis Granderson, who's been on base 3 times tonight, 2 singles and a hit by pitch. He scored 1 run. So the last 3 days now, Granderson 4 for 9 with 3 walks and a hit by pitch. So things going much better for Curtis at the top of the batting order.
Not a good day in that 9th hole for the Mets. That's the only glaring weakness, Gary. Kevin Long and Asdrubal Cabrera.
Out to left field, and Worth is right there to grab it. 2 out.
And these are the kind of games, the Mets have been kind of iffy on offense, and you're talking about it and you're working on it and you want to break out and you're working so hard, and today they take no batting practice and they come out and score 7 runs.
And so it goes.
Right.
Last time the Mets scored more than 5 runs in a game was in San Diego. They scored 6 in Cologne's start there when he hit the home run. So that's what, 15 games ago?
Yeah, so no BP, an hour plus rain delay, and they come out and get to a guy who's gotten off to a quick start, Gio Gonzalez. You never know in this game.
1-2 to Lagares, is 2 for 4 tonight.
I mean, maybe what it tells you is sometimes you're working too hard. Sometimes you just need to relax and go up there and see it and hit it kind of deal.
Well, the Mets bypassed an opportunity in the first inning, but they were able to cash in big time in the third. David Wright hit a 3-run homer to give the Mets the lead. They added 2 more runs in that inning, and then home runs by Cespedes and Walker back-to-back in the 5th. And it's all turned into a fun night for the Mets here in D.C. One-two from Solis, and Lagares pops one up into shallow center. Taylor comes on and puts it away to retire the side. 1-2-3 in the top of the 9th, and now Logan Verrett will try and finish it off for New York as the Mets try and win in Washington for the 4th straight time. Geico Sports Night with Doug Williams. More on Ryan Fitzpatrick. How many times has his name been in the news the last 2 months?
Does he really want to be a Jet so badly?
Plus lots of overreaction promised on Geico Sports Night after Logan Verrett tries to get the final 3 outs.
I know this is a 6-run lead for Verrett, but this is a good time for him with this lead to get back to the kind of pitcher he is, and that's going after hitters. 6 walks in his last 5 1/3 innings pitched.
Last time he pitched was behind Matt Harvey, and Matt's shortened start against Washington last week. He went 2 1/3 scoreless innings, They'll face Ryan Zimmerman leading off the bottom of the ninth. Zimmerman 2 for 3 today, and that brings us to the subject of Harvey, who pitches tomorrow night for the Mets. And I said it earlier, other than postseason games, this is probably one of the biggest starts of Matt's career in terms of the depths to which he's fallen and the need for him to show that he can still be the pitcher everybody expects him to be.
Yeah, and the back-to-back starts against a team that put 9 runs on him, I think is interesting. I thought Terry Collins' comments today were, I've never really heard those before. The question was asked, are you just expecting a good kind of quality outing from Matt tomorrow? And boy, I never thought I'd ever hear that sentence posed to Terry Collins, because you always think of Matt to dominate, but he hasn't this season, and I guess the words are true. You're just looking for him to have a 5-inning kind of decent mini start to get on the road to pitching recovery.
Well, Matt wanted to make this start. He was quite clear that he did not want to skip a start. David Wright with a nice backhand pick against his old buddy Zimmerman, and he throws him out. Nicely done by David for the first out.
This one, there was a hop that came up a little bit, but he started down with his glove on the ground and worked its way up to make sure he got that hop, and a strong throw to first base.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Rendon, who's 0 for 3 today. Mets 7 runs, 11 hits. The Nationals 1 run, 6 hits.
You can be paralyzed in today's game by your attention that you give to your mechanics, and if everything doesn't feel exactly right, then you feel like you're not going to dominate or pitch the way you want to pitch. That really has no bearing on when the game starts, to me, Gary. I don't, are there some commitment flaws and some thinking flaws? Maybe, the pitch to Worth, the 0-2 curveball to Murphy in his last start, but the stuff is there to win games. You and I were talking about before, Jacob deGrom hasn't gotten to the point where he wants to be yet either, but he's still getting outs.
Wright throws out Rendon, and quickly there are 2 outs. Well, the other thing about Harvey, not only is he coming off that dreadful start against the Nationals at Citi Field, but remember what happened the last time he pitched here. That was after the whole innings controversy. Yeah. This was his first start after that, and things didn't go well in that start either.
And it was washed away because the Mets came back in that ballgame.
So it's a lot on his plate as he takes the mound here tomorrow night for the second game of the series, going up against the guy to whom he always is measured, Stephen Strasburg, who beat the Mets in New York in Harvey's start last week. Nats down to their final out. Wilson Ramos takes a strike. Glenn Robinson, who's been on deck all night long and has never been in the game, has come out on deck again to pinch hit if Ramos can keep the game going. And now the Nationals are down to their final strike. So the Mets on the verge of evening up the season series against Washington, and if they do, they'll pull just a half game behind Washington with a chance to regain first place tomorrow night. O2 coming, and Ramos just got a piece to keep it alive. Glenn Robinson, who's had his helmet on and his batting gloves in place for innings.
I was going to say, didn't he hit already? I'm looking at my scorecard, but no.
He was on Stephen Drew. He was on deck in the 5th. He was on deck in the 7th, and he's on deck again. I think he was on deck in the 4th too, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's going to stay on deck.
0-2 coming, and it's just off the plate. 1-2 to Ramos. Verrett trying to put on the finishing touches. And Ramos strikes out, and the ball game is over. Logan Verrett gets the final 3 outs, and an hour and 15 minutes before he turns 43, Bartolo Colon gets the victory. Mets hit 3 home runs tonight, and they get the first game of the series from the Nats, winning it handily 7-1.
Well, a walk-off hit by David 2 games ago, a 3-run home run to get him started today. Cespedes, who has just owned the Nationals since he's come over to the National League, and Neil Walker from the right side with a home run off Gio Gonzalez as the Mets offense wakes up with the home run ball, and Bartolo Colon back to where he